10 minutes to share with you my journey into and through to now the study and practice of mindfulness. And I want to start with a statement that you may consider to be hyperbolic, but it's not. It's authentic and sincere and genuine. And that is the investment of time and energy for me in the study and practice of mindfulness has been amongst the highest return on investments of time and energy of any in my life, both personal and professional. And it has made amongst the most profound changes for the positive in my life of any single decision that I have made. So I hope that that will motivate you to try to stay focused a little bit on not only my remarks, but those of Scott, which you just heard, and Alexis and Gisela to come, and what I call set the hook for the remaining time we are together. And next I'll offer a confession. I did not take up the study and practice of mindfulness for any of the noteworthy and laudable objectives that form the title of our program. Not for a path to peace, not for productive problem solving, and not explicitly to enhance professionalism. Not one of them. Perhaps my motivation, some of you will consider to be more base, but again, what follows is honest and authentic. I took up the study and practice of mindfulness to gain a competitive advantage in my professional life, unmindful at the time of the rich benefits it would pay in my personal life too. So what is this competitive advantage? The competitive advantage traces back to the study that Gisela informed us of, and Scott elaborated on a bit, this 2010 Harvard study that reported, as Gisela and Scott have said, that we are generally off task about 47% of the time. And I thought, first, that's astonishing. And second, what if I could gain back to being on task, maybe even just a few of those percentages of being off task? And how much better could I perform than I performed before? And maybe how much better could I perform than my counterparties in my professional life, opposing counsel or counterparties in whatever setting? This thought, after reading about the Harvard study, was reinforced for me in 2012 when I one day was reading the Sunday New York Times newspaper, and in it there was a review of a book called Search Inside Yourself by an engineer from Google called Shade-Meng Tan. And he was one of the earliest engineers at Google and designed a course there called Search Inside Yourself the Same, one of the most popular courses ever taught at Google U. And the book has been since translated into, the last time I checked, over 26 languages. It was data rich about the benefits of the study and practice of mindfulness, and talked about the number of Fortune 500 companies that had C-suite level executives schooled in the study and practice of mindfulness, some of which offered mindfulness training on a voluntary basis within their companies. Now, that article was in the Sunday Times business section. I confess again, had it been in Sunday Styles, I don't know that I'd even have read it. But to me, the credibility of it being in the business section and what it reported motivated me all the more to take up this study and practice of mindfulness. So why? I've said precisely in order to be better at gaining an awareness of whether I am off task and when, doing so early to increase the amount of time I'm on task, whatever it is that I'm intending to be doing in the moment. So what about this gaining awareness? What about this gaining awareness? What knowledge does it take? And what is the underlying platform or foundation for knowledge? In my worldview of this issue, the foundation for knowledge is data. And if you accept that premise just for a moment, I continue with that premise with the view that if I want to gain knowledge better, I want to gather data better. I want to improve my data gathering skills. And that takes us right back. It takes me right back to the benefits from increasing my awareness, having more data. Now, for me, I view the world as offering to me three buckets, three categories of data. The first is this data inside me. What is going on with me? Thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. The second is the bucket of data about my counterparty or counterparties in the moment, in whatever I am doing. And the third is data about the environment in which I find myself. And I don't mean environmental issues, climate related. I mean the surroundings, what's happening around me, but beyond me and my counterparty, immediate counterparty or counterparties. And I want to focus now, and I'll come back to the second bucket of counterparties, but I want to focus for just a few more minutes on this discipline, the learning, the practice of gathering data about me, thoughts, feelings, sensations, and emotions. And most importantly, getting better at gathering data, having the awareness of when I am off task. That is the primary mission in my focus on this bucket. And as Scott has just shared, and it is probably consistent with all of our experiences, even if we haven't articulated it this way before, minds are mischievous and they wander. And as disciplined as my practice is, which is not very after only about 13 years, and as disciplined, I think, as anyone's practice can be, one's mind is still going to wander without any question. So if I, for example, can get better at, Paul, you're supposed to be thinking about this brief or preparing for this trial. And now I'm thinking about something other than that. It's likely to be either something that happened in the past or something that may happen in the future. And Scott alluded to this too. So let's talk about that for a moment. And now I'm building on the argument in an effort to persuade all of you who haven't yet undertaken the study and practice of mindfulness to give it a shot. So why? There's lots of data, and the time that I have in this setting isn't one in which it is prudent and efficient to start offering citations to various studies. But accept that there's lots of data, and if you don't want to do that, think about your own life experience. When we're in the past, sure, there are moments when we have joyful memories of something that's happened in the past. No question. Special moments, touching moments, loving moments. And in my experience, and I'm going to wager like in most of yours, more often than not, when we're in the past, it's not a pleasant memory. It's a regret. It's a self-criticism. What could I have done better? I screwed this up. And what impression did I leave as a result of a mistake with who knows who? And, gosh, I'm embarrassed. And what am I going to do? And this is going to be awful. And so I think that predominates. Gisela?
Paul, if I may, if you find yourself thinking words like, I should have, or why didn't I, that's a key. Those are the key words. You are now ruminating about the past. That should be your trigger to come back to the present moment. But Paul, go on.
I think that that's right. So now let's talk about the future. Every one of us has joyous thoughts about what may happen in the future, whether it's an interaction that's upcoming with a family member, a friend, a loved one, an upcoming vacation, a weekend, whatever. And I again submit that more often than not, when we're in the future, we're worried about the future. Am I going to do well on the ACC presentation? And what if I bungle it? And am I prepared enough for a hearing tomorrow, or a trial, or a mediation, or an important meeting? And oh my God, if I'm not, and now I'm thinking I'm not. And Scott referred to this too, devolving, not evolving, devolving into catastrophizing. So the discipline of the study and practice of mindfulness and the continued work on improving our awareness of when we're off task, often by being in the past, often by being in the present, bringing us back to the present and an opportunity to gain more than 53% of the time on the intended task at hand. That's worth investing time in doing. At least to me it is. And I encourage you to consider the same thing. Who wouldn't want to be on task, whatever it is she or he is desiring to be on task with, more? I say this about the study and practice of mindfulness too. Scott's talked about the testing, and Amishi John Scott have written about this. Amishi's authored a book on this that talks about even the benefits of short-term, even as little as 12 minutes of mindfulness meditation practice daily or regularly. It doesn't cost any money to buy equipment to study and practice mindfulness. It doesn't take up room in your suitcase when you're traveling on business or pleasure to bring the discipline along, and you can do it anywhere for free. So I'm going to pivot for a moment, hopeful that I have encouraged you to give this a shot if you don't already have a practice, and talk about something that has